This is interesting. They are running some things on the scoreboard screens inside the stadium. Interesting to see, and you can kind of get a look at the logo that they advertised and hung up a couple weeks back. So interesting. I just stumbled upon this by accident and saw the scoreboards going. Hey, it is Uncle Matt here, and you just got a little preview of what today's vlog is going to be all about. We are on site at Fair Park, just next to the future home of Nashville SC, the brand new, thus unnamed Nashville SC Stadium. Today, we're gonna walk around the park. We're gonna get as close as we can to the stadium, see how the construction's progressing, because we're less than 2 months away from this bad boy opening for the first home game of the season, May 1st. But the season itself starts this Sunday, February 27th. Nashville SC has to start what's gonna be a brutal road trip going all the way to Seattle for a huge game against one of the premier teams in the league, the Sounders. It's gonna be a brutal 2 months on the road, especially with the move to the Western Conference. So we're gonna check out the stadium, see how it's progressed, and then I'm gonna share my thoughts about the season, Nashville SC, what I'm expecting from the team this year. It's cold. I put off doing this all week because it's been raining all week, but I finally had to pull the plug on it because I wanted to get this out before the season started. So the sacrifices I'm out here making for you, the people, freezing to death to get looks at the stadium and to talk about the team. Let's go check out the stadium, see what we can see. All right, you got a pretty good view of the stadium from over here on the adjacent rec fields that they have. You can see this is a new development from when we were here last year and looking at the stadium. They got this nice staircase here that'll lead up from kind of wherever you're coming in from parking at up to the stadium. I do like how they built it up on the hill. It kind of gives it a big presence, the way it's just kind of sitting up there. That staircase is going to be a lot of fun for people who pre-game a little hard. It's a cool addition though. I definitely like the way the stadium sits up there and has an elevation. You can see the scoreboards in place. It is really coming along. Looks like there's still some work being done on this portion of the canopy, so a lot of the primary stadium itself looks to be done, but it does look like there's still a little work going in there. I know from following along on the social media accounts for the soccer, the interior of the stadium, seats, everything looks pretty close to being done. It looks like they're about ready to put the sod down for the field, but you can see there's a scrim and some stuff up, still some work being done on the canopy there. There's a big call from within the fan base to have a lazy river as part of the new stadium. And with all the rain we've had the last few days, it might just be becoming a reality. Alright, so if you go back to my stadium update from last season, this was an area they were clearing out around this time last year. You can see there's still some work being done back there that I thought might be something related to stadium infrastructure, but it looks like they pretty much just cleared it out and left it clear. So maybe this is phase 2, or maybe it just wasn't even related to the stadium. Who knows? World famous Santa's Pub, likely to be a popular pregame spot. They only accept cash, I think. That used to be how it was. Yeah, you can see there's an ATM out there. I highlighted this on the last vlog about the stadium, but it is absolutely crazy how it just directly backs up to these houses. It is going to be very interesting to see what happens to the property value over here. Does the land here skyrocket with bars, restaurants, or other developers wanting to grab this land and have primo stadium access? Would be pretty cool if somebody I know bought one of these houses to set up a cool pre-game, post-game hang spot. So just putting that out into the universe. Alright, so right at the top of this part of the hill, this corner here is where the old Fairgrounds Sports Arena used to stand. Home of wrestling at the fairgrounds for a very long time. Saw some crazy weird indie shows there in my time. It is now gone, but we now know that wrestling is returning to the fairgrounds in one of the expo buildings. The NWA is bringing the Crockett Cup here next month. We might have to check that out. Alright, we got a closer look at the corner of the stadium where they've hung up the logo. It's looking good there. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this over. Oh yeah, that's in the way. The screen where you were seeing it earlier is actually outside the stadium, so that's interesting to note. You can see we got a lot of construction going on over here near this parking area and the newer expo buildings that were built. I'm guessing this is all, you can see there's definitely some stuff going on here for the infrastructure of the stadium, maybe laying some drainage, I don't know. I'm not a construction expert. Maybe just expanding this parking lot. Who's to say? I don't know what's actually going on at the fairgrounds today. There's some kind of event happening. I'm just wandering around. I was trying to see if there's a way to work my way back to my car without having to walk all the way back. So looks like maybe the fairgrounds flea market this weekend. It definitely looks like a flea market weekend, but maybe a little scaled back because it's frigid and it's not a weekend. A lot of people are going to wander around to the outside vendors and such. Good time for the flea market to be going on, so I could come inside and warm up a little bit before the rest of the walk back to my car. Alright, here's a little bit of another infrastructure construction update. This bridge here that kind of comes off the main road and enters the fairground property. I believe it was here before, but it looks like they may be expanding it, reinforcing it, making it more prepared for higher volumes coming in this way. So this could be a kind of main entrance area to the property to get in and find parking and stuff, which that's probably, in my mind right now, what's going to be the biggest issue with the stadium is parking, because there is just nowhere near enough parking in this area for a 30,000 seat stadium. But a lot of time left, 2 months still to go, a lot can be changed, but yeah, parking's probably going to be a problem. All right, we got more infrastructure work going on here along a road that runs directly next to the complex. I don't know if this is like laying new water lines or if this is expanding this road to hold more volume or what, but lots going on here. I'm guessing it's water because there's another one here. You can see it's kind of going over and around. And here's a look at the other side of the bridge now that we found our way around. See the bridge there into the fairgrounds complex. There's the stadium looming over all of it. All right, and so with that, we have completed a full lap around the future home of the Nashville Soccer Club, the Fairground Stadium. And I am already up to like 5,366 steps in 2.5 miles. Not a bad way to start the morning. Still got a whole day ahead of us. I haven't even done my Peloton ride yet. Alright, now that we have our stadium tour completed, I'm going to sit here and warm up for a minute, and I'm going to share my thoughts on what I saw of the stadium and share my thoughts on the Nashville SC 2022 season in general, so stay tuned. So we're back home after our stadium tour, so time to share my thoughts on the stadium and preview the season to come. Number one, right off the bat, I went to Smoking Thighs while I was over there to get some lunch, and it brought up one of the things that's been a concern of mine going back to the stadium, something that I've brought up as something I don't like about some of the other newer stadiums. It's early. I mean, the stadium's not even open yet. We're 2 months away from the first game, but there's not a whole lot to do in the area around the stadium. You know, Smoking Thighs is over there. There's a place called Southside Pub and Eatery that I've been to a few times. It's pretty good. A few other things here and there, but like in terms of like, I want to see something like the Battery, what Atlanta has. I want to see almost what like First Tennessee Park, what they have over there at First Horizon Field or whatever it's called for the Sounds, where there's just like a whole little community of bars and restaurants and things you can just walk to and do before the game, after the game, within walking distance. I want it to be like a whole little mini community. I think that's the intention long term, especially with the mixed use development area that they have, but no sign of anything going up like that over there yet. I mean, the stadium's got to be the priority. You got to get the stadium ready. You got to get it up and running first, so obviously it's got to be the priority, but I think come May 1st, there's not going to be a whole lot to do other than go to the game itself, which, you know, that's not the worst thing in the world because that's the whole point of the stadium is to go watch soccer games at the stadium. But it's nice to have little other things, a little accoutrement too. So that seems like it's been maybe phase 2, phase 3, 2023 season type stuff might be when we start to see that. I think, you know, probably there's businesses that might be interested in putting something in the area that may be waiting to see how the first season goes, what the attendance is like, what the community around the game is like. So we'll see what happens with that. Not great right now. The stadium itself, it looks pretty far along. Obviously we couldn't get inside the stadium and see inside on our little tour today, but from everything the teams put out on social media and on their website, the interior of the stadium looks almost done. The seats are in place. We saw the canopies up. There's a little bit of work still going on with it. They've been posting some very interesting things about the development of the field, the actual sod. It's been growing on a farm, I think somewhere in Georgia, and here in the next week or so, it's supposed to be shipped up and laid out to implant itself and grow in the actual surface at the stadium. So from that aspect, that seems to be the furthest along, is the interior actual kind of field space, seating area of the stadium. The outside of the stadium itself, kind of where the concessions and some of the other stuff would be, still looks like it's got a little ways to go. Right now, the only thing blocking the stadium from the outside is just a basic chain link fence. I assume at some point in time they're going to build a more protective structure, whether it's a wall or a higher fence or a more of a permanent fencing to keep people, because right now it's a 5 foot tall wired fence is all that's really blocking people out of getting in the stadium. So those houses I showed that are right back into the stadium, you can just jump that fence and you're in the stadium if there's not a security guard keeping close tabs on that. So a lot of structural work, little pieces that still need to go in, but 2 months to go, seems to be crunch time. A lot of the stuff I saw today, I kind of thought there might be a little bit further along. It might be a mess on May 1st. I have no doubt that they will play a game in that stadium on May 1st. I think they're going to have it ready to be a playable stadium that can host a game, but is it going to be a great experience? Is it going to be everything we're hoping for in our brilliant, state-of-the-art, largest soccer-specific stadium in all of America? It's crunch time. I have a hard time seeing it being ready. Like I said while I was over there, I think the parking is going to be a mess. They haven't finished any new parking at the Fairgrounds complex, and like I said, some of the stuff I couldn't tell if it's being cleared off for new parking or if it's just being cleared off to put drainage, water systems, electrical stuff that they need infrastructure-wise to get the stadium up and running. Parking's gonna be a mess, and so I'm saying somebody needs to buy a house near the stadium. If any of my friends, anybody that knows me, anybody that wants to just hang out, we can become friends. Buy a house near the stadium so we can just walk to the games. That's the ideal scenario, because I think parking's going to be a nightmare for the stadium starting. Do you want to be in the vlog? Oli wants to make a quick appearance on the vlog. Come here. You're not doing your job. Here he is. Bye. Yeah, so stadium-wise, that's where we're at with that. It's going to be tight getting it ready for May 1st. Everything that Ian Ayer and others from the club have said is they have no doubt the stadium's going to be open and hosting the game on May 1st, but if it'll be fully operational, it's going to be a little closer call, I think. So that first game will be very interesting, just from a perspective of what is that stadium going to be like. 2 months to go till it's supposed to open. It was the stadium itself, the main building, is in good shape, but everything else looks to be, and I'm not a construction expert, I don't know how long these things take to do. They could have it almost completely done in 2 weeks out of nowhere, so I don't know, but we shall see. I have some doubts that it's going to be the full presentation, full operation, up and running day one on May 1st, so we'll see. Obviously we'll be there at the game and it'll be here on the channel, so subscribe, follow along to see that happen. I'm interested to see if they do any type of, them being behind kind of makes me think they won't, and I don't know that they're behind. Just from my view today, it looked like the stadium's not on pace to be fully ready in 2 months, but I wonder if they will do any type of preview events for the stadium, because last summer, we got an email, season ticket holders, that there was a preview center set up at the Nashville SC headquarters, and that later in the summer they were going to be inviting season ticket holders out to see the preview center. They did a big media day where all the media got to come see it, and that was the last we ever heard about it. They never sent anything out, at least to me, about coming in and seeing the stadium preview center at the headquarters. They set up a miniature one at the Nissan stand for the games. It was just basically a cheap way for them to try to sell more season tickets, so that wasn't great. There's been kind of some disappointing ways about the way they've been treating season ticket holders and such things, but like I said, it'd be nice if a couple weeks out of the first game, if they have a preview day. I remember back when the Titan Stadium first opened, it's a miracle I can remember these type of things at this point in time, but they had a meet your seat day where you got to go to the stadium. I think they might have even had some tours during construction, if I remember correctly, where you had to go and wear a hard hat. But about a month before the first season in Nissan Stadium, then Adelphia Coliseum. They had a Meet Your Seat Day where season ticket holders got to come into the stadium. They opened up some of the concession stands. They had a few little photo ops, different stuff like that. You got to actually go sit in your seat, see for the first time in real life what your seat in the stadium was like. It would be very cool if Nashville SC did something like that. I would certainly hope they would, because it's going to be chaos if everybody's just trying to figure out how to go and navigate the stadium all together. 30,000 people trying to figure out where to go in a stadium for the first time together. It'd be somewhat helpful for at least the season ticket holders to get the chance to familiarize themselves with the stadium first. But if they're behind on construction, like I suspect they will, I don't think they're going to be able to hold events like that. But it'd be cool if they did, because I mean, we're season ticket holders. We'd like to get stuff like that. Which leads me into season preview. We'll be back on the vlog. Sunday night, we're going to the season ticket holders viewing party at Brooklyn Bowl. Now, I've heard some people that are kind of negative on this being a season ticket holders only event, but like I said, I kind of think they haven't done enough for season ticket holders. And you know, some of that's, everybody in sports got thrown a curveball by the whole COVID stuff the last couple of years, but it's time that the team started catching up on what they've lacked to do for the season ticket holders. They got a great opportunity to do a ton of stuff with the stadium. You know, I understand people's argument of saying, oh, it's not building the fan base by making the viewing party at Brooklyn Bowl season ticket holder exclusive, but on the one hand, I think they need to do more for season ticket holders, so doing this event's a step in the right direction. And two, all the supporters groups are still doing their own independent watch parties. You know, the Roadies, the Assembly, the Mixtape, I'm forgetting some, Eastern Front, I believe is one. There's about 6 or 7 different supporters groups within the Backline Collective now, and they're all doing their own watch parties. And I would argue, if you want to build a fan base, those are better events to try to get people to come to than to try to get to the actual Nashville SC events, because the Nashville SC sponsored events have been a lot more stripped down, sterile, corporate kind of feeling than, you know, you go to one of the supporters club's watch parties, you're getting a little bit of what you get when you sit in the supporter section at a game. You're getting the fun atmosphere, the chants, the camaraderie that comes with being a part of that. I think those are better for growing the fan base than the season ticket holders. So let the season ticket holders have their thing. We'll go to that. Supporter groups run their fun parties, and people can go to those and see what it's like and get excited about the team, because I think those are the events that are going to get people who aren't necessarily Nashville SC fans now or soccer fans now more excited about the team than anything the team does. Because the team, once again, I don't think they've done as good a job as they could have, not only with season ticket holders, but with the community in general. So let the supporters groups really show off what the club is really about, because that's what it's a supporter-built club from day one. So go to the supporters club's parties. The Assembly's at the Lost Patty. It's a great place. I go there all the time. But the season itself, let's talk about that. Stay tuned for that vlog. The Brooklyn Bowl season watch party vlog coming later this week. But what's going to happen this season? What is Nashville SC going to do? The biggest key thing of the season is they have moved from the Eastern Conference to the Western Conference, which geographically is very stupid, because I don't know if you're familiar with where Nashville is. It is nowhere near the West. The closest Western Conference team to us, this is just me talking off the top of my head, is going to be Kansas City, which is insane. Our first game of the season, Sunday, is all the way in Seattle. Wild, wild, wild stuff. The season's going to be crazy. To start this season with 8 straight road games, moving to the Western Conference, where I think 6 out of the 8 games are insanely far on the other side of the country, it's going to be highly difficult. It's going to be a big challenge for Gary, for Nashville SC, but it's probably best suited to somebody like Gary Smith and his style of play, wanting to play defense first and do the rest afterwards. So 8 games on the road to start the season. Best case scenario, maybe 3 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. 3 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. Anything short of coming out of it with no wins, if we can get 2 or 3 wins out of it and then a few draws, we'll call it a success, because then we're backloaded on home games the rest of the way for the season, which, we just can't dig ourselves a hole on these road games to start the season. I like what Nashville SC's done with their roster. I kind of talked about this in the past. One of the reasons it's always been hard for me to get into MLS is there seems to be a lot of roster turnover in MLS. And so far, 3 seasons in, Nashville SC has had a lot more consistency in their roster than what I've seen in other MLS teams. Now, before I get into this, I am no MLS expert. I had maybe gotten 25% of the way to understanding the Eastern Conference and what the Eastern Conference teams were all about, and we moved to the Western Conference. So I'm going to be even less informed about what's going to happen with us in the Western Conference. I know our first game right out of the gate, Seattle, is going to be very tough. They are traditionally one of the teams that just does things the right way, keeps their team solid, keeps their team competitive, and they're always hovering around the top of the Western Conference. So going there, they've got a great home atmosphere. Not the best way to start the season, probably, but there are some rumors that because they have a CONCACAF Champions League game prior to our game, they may have some rotation. They may put their top players in the CONCACAF Champions League game. That game may have actually already happened. I don't know at this point in time. This shows you my level of knowledge, is that I don't even know if that game's happened or not. But I definitely read a report that said there was some speculation Seattle might do some rotation and play some of their younger players and save their stars for the CONCACAF Champions League match. That might be next week. Maybe they're saving them for that game. Who's to say? I don't know that they would do that. We'll see. I don't know. I don't really know how much teams value CONCACAF Champions League at this point in time. It's a weird thing. I can't imagine them like putting out like academy kids for like the home opener. They'll want the pomp and circumstance. They'll want Jordan Morris out there. They'll want all the stars out there. So tough way to start the season, but like I said, I really like what Nashville SC's done with the roster. You know, we were one of the top teams in the league last season, pretty much kept all of our key players. The one exception being Alistair Johnson being traded away. That's a tough one for, you know, to take, because he's been one of the best players in the team, been on solid, done everything we wanted out of him. But I mean, the deal we got for him was too good to pass up, and I think the team had the expectation that we would be able to replace him a little bit more than we actually have. Heavy rumors that we were in for Shaq Moore, a U.S. men's national team right back who's currently playing over in Europe. That deal didn't come to be because his current club team couldn't find a replacement for him. Talked that it could come back on the table in the summer window, but we haven't always done the best job of integrating players that come in the summer window at Nashville SC. So would have liked to see that deal get done, but it didn't. So now we're stuck with Eric Miller or Alex Muyl probably playing as our right wing back, which Muyl, better offensively probably than what we were getting out of Alistair, but not better overall. Eric Miller, I think he's okay, but he is maybe the most hated Nashville SC player amongst the fan base. Like, he had a few bad games, I think his first time kind of coming into the team, and just a large chunk of the fan base has just never forgiven him. So we'll see. That definitely is not as strong as a position as we had it at last year, but we strengthened the midfield big time. We got Sean Davis from New York Red Bulls. He is going to be a very big key player for us. I know I heard a lot of the podcast and people that cover the team had identified him as being like a key guy that we should target to improve our midfield depth, because that was our big concern last year, was our midfield depth. We had solid players, Dax, Godoy, but they're both a little bit older. They're not going to be able to play every single match. Brian Anunga behind them is a very good player, but, you know, maybe not a player you're counting on to be a regular starter. I said Sean Morris. His name is Sean Davis. Sorry, that's why I got distracted. I was trying to look it up because I knew I said it wrong as soon as I said it. Sean Davis. Anyway, I heard several people from the get-go at the start of last offseason saying he was going to be a free agent likely, and he was the ideal target for Nashville SC to bring in, but that it was very unlikely that New York Red Bulls would not re-sign him because he's homegrown player, academy kid for them, their captain. He's like basically Mr. New York Red Bull. But for whatever reason, they couldn't get the deal done, and he chose to come to Nashville SC. So he's a huge addition, gives us a lot of flexibility, a lot more depth in the center of midfield. Attacking options, you would expect Ake Loba to take a big step forward after kind of coming in and never really getting his feet underneath him last summer. Now he's kind of had an off-season and a preseason to really get integrated. You know, I see a lot of people projecting him kind of pushing Lille out of the lineup. That'll be interesting to see, but even if he does push Lille out or doesn't, you know, him playing more, giving us more options, more rotation there is only a good thing. Daniel Rios, within the last 24 hours, has announced we traded him to Charlotte. And I think a lot of people were wanting him to come good for the team just because he was the first player we ever signed to an MLS contract. Had a lot of potential, a lot of hype, but injuries really just killed him. And at this point, he's probably our fourth, maybe even fifth choice striker, because we brought in Teal Bunbury to give us another veteran option at striker. So a lot of options in attack, a lot of options in midfield now. But now we kind of, I was looking at our roster, and center back is a little concerning to me, especially because we've kind of switched to playing a back three for the most part. And we've got three pretty clear-cut players, Jack Mars, Zimmerman, and Dave Romney. But we let Jaleel and Ibaba go. We got another super draft pick at center back who maybe, I don't know, you know, he hasn't played before, so we don't know. Signed a couple other options there, but we're a lot more unproven depth-wise at center back than we were heading into the last season. Center back this year feels like what central midfield felt like to me last year, but as long as we stay healthy, as long as, that's asking a lot, but, avoid injuries, keep the guys in there. Dave Romney, up until he got injured toward the end of the last season, had played every minute in Nashville SC history, so we've got a good track record of keeping our center backs on the field, so hopefully that keeps up with the potential depth issues there. But I see a lot of people projecting us somewhere anywhere from 2nd to 4th in the West. That feels right. Just, looking at the West, looking at the teams, Seattle's going to be strong. LAFC likely will have a strong team again. Galaxy brought in Douglas Costa. I don't know if he's going to do anything or if they're just going to be the team that keeps signing luxury players and does middle of the pack. But West is going to be a challenge, with the travel and stuff. But Gary Smith and Mike Jacobs have given us no reason to doubt Nashville SC up till now. Hani Mukhtar, I only see him going up from what he did last season, which was basically an MVP caliber season. So, I think we're going to have a good year. 2nd to 4th, we should be in the mix to compete for MLS Cup again. Just hope we don't get into a penalty shootout in the playoffs, because that is clearly our kryptonite. But I'm excited. May 1st can't come soon enough, but February 27th is right around the corner. And like I said, we will be at Brooklyn Bowl for the season ticket holders watch party. A vlog will be coming from that, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you get the updates when any of our content goes live. Thank you for watching. Come on, you boys in gold. Let's get this season started.